Hi everyone, welcome back to Stoic Quotes. Today, we're going to take a quote from who else other than the late, the great Marcus Aurelius. This one's from his Meditations, and it goes a little something like this. Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been. Well, Marcus getting real personal with this here. Now, immediately what I'm thinking of, what I thought, especially that last portion, don't feel harmed and you haven't been. What I immediately thought of was everyone has to experience being harmed in order to know what it feels like. And once you know what it feels like, then you can take steps to shield yourself against it. I'm reminded of when you're a kid and you're trying to climb your first tree or ride your first bike, you skin your knee, you fall down, you hurt yourself, right? Now, obviously that's a knee-jerk reaction. You feel physical pain, you're like, ah, crap. Okay, maybe that's the wrong example, or perhaps let's say when you fall in love for the first time, you spill your guts and it doesn't work out. You feel some sort of a slight, or there's some sort of emotional harm that's happened to you. Now you almost need to feel how that feels, for lack of a better word, in order for you to take preventative measures as well. In order for you to choose not to be harmed. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Essentially, that's easy to say. You can say, okay, well, I'm not gonna let this hurt me. I'm gonna continue going forward. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I'm gonna keep, stacking this paper, making this bread, being out in these streets, whatever the hell it is you do. But don't feel harmed and you haven't been. Almost sort of reminds me, it makes me think, okay, if you choose not to be harmed, you haven't been harmed. And if you haven't been harmed, I kind of get the vibe, it's not so much that you're missing out, but you don't get a well-rounded human experience. Because how can you not feel harmed if you haven't been, right? How do you know what to avoid? Nobody is invincible, I think, is what this quote is saying. It's not so much that nobody is invincible, it's the fact that nobody is born invincible. We become invincible through our experience in being harmed, let's say either physically, emotionally, and so on and so forth. And that's why I think this quote is really important. Marcus has the ones where, again, you have to break up the quotes in order to really unpack each segment of it. This is one of the more unified ones, I would say, because, and it is kind of, the logic to me, it's not quite circular, but it's a closed loop. I understand it. And again, it brings that paradox, like, how do you know you've been harmed? Or rather, I should say, how do you know what to look for if you've never been harmed, right? But also it begs the other question, which just popped into my head right now. How can you be harmed without knowing that you've been harmed? Now that's the question that's sort of mulling around, that just sort of popped into my head at this moment. If you don't, is this quote a perception is reality type thing? If you don't perceive that you've been harmed, then okay, yeah, I'm not been harmed. But how do you know that for sure? How do you know you've been harmed? I mean, there are some times, and we've seen it in movies. I'm not sure if it's a real thing either, but it possibly could be. Let's say, somebody gets shot, but the adrenaline is coursing through them, and they don't know that they've been shot until somebody points it out and says, like, "Whoa, dude! Like you've got a hole inside of your torso." Then you look down, oh shit! Okay, I've actually been shot, and that's when the pain starts kicking in. Now, I think in that case, maybe Marcus is right. Maybe you haven't been harmed unless you know that you've been harmed. And if you choose not to be harmed by anything, then you become invincible and you won't feel harmed. I think what he's trying to get at is you it's not ideal to feel harmed, and we are the ones who wear the armor, who build the armor, who repair the armor, and we need to constantly be wearing it because we only get one life, we've got shit to do, and if we're harmed, we have to be invincible in order to achieve the things that we want. That's what I get from the quote. In this case, at the risk of rambling, I don't really have too much else to say on it, so I'll turn the question to you. Have I completely missed the mark with this interpretation? Please share your thoughts with a comment down below. Drop a like on the video while you're at it as well. And as always, thank you so much for watching.